It is 2:47 a.m. on June 13, 2025. In 13 minutes, Israel will initiate Operation Rising Lion, a massive strike aimed at over 100 targets across Iran. This map shows the Iranian defense network. Overlapping rings of surface-to-air missile batteries protect thousands of ballistic missiles, all of which are fueled and pointed at Israeli population centers. For an air force to destroy these systems from 20,000 feet, pilots would have to fly directly into active radar and interceptors. These defenses must be deactivated from the ground before the first jet enters the airspace. Success in the air is dependent on an invisible campaign already underway behind enemy lines. Arash is one part of that campaign. He is currently kneeling in a dark field outside a military base, miles from any support. He is currently holding a launch terminal with extremely unsteady hands. He has spent years preparing for this exact moment, and now he waits in total silence for a radio signal from Tel Aviv. The outcome of the opening airstrikes rests on whether Arash can keep his hands steady long enough to follow a single order. Arash's path to this field began decades ago, long before he had any connection to military intelligence. When he was 11, his 17-year-old sister was arrested and beaten by regime enforcers. Her crime was stepping outside her home without her hijab. The family eventually fled the country, but the memory stayed with Arash. He watched from abroad as the state continued to use physical force to maintain internal control. In the world of espionage, Arash is what is known as a walk-in. These are citizens who volunteer their services to a foreign power rather than being recruited. They are difficult to detect because they simply appear. At age 30, Arash sat at his computer and typed a single word into Google: Mossad. He filled out their public contact form and pressed send. By enforcing strict social laws through violence, the state created a motive for an ordinary citizen to become an active operative. Over the next 10 years, Mossad built a hidden network inside Iran. They used commercial transport trucks to smuggle weapon components past customs, while agents like Arash maintained ordinary lives. This diagram illustrates a critical logistical gap. Iran possesses 4 times more ballistic missiles than the heavy trucks required to transport them to launch positions. Mossad focused on this specific vulnerability. Destroying the transport truck renders the missile it carries immobile and strategically useless. Billions of dollars in military hardware become inactive the moment the logistics chain is severed by ground sabotage. On June 13th, Arash spent 100 minutes in the dark assembling his launcher. And each time an Iranian security patrol passed on a nearby road, he froze, waiting for the headlights to fade. At 3 a.m., the command finally came from headquarters: launch. Arash pressed the button. As his missile's camera activated, it revealed the target. It was a transport launcher, fully armed and aimed at Israeli cities. The ground strike was a direct hit. Arash sent a short coded confirmation to Tel Aviv: "We did our job." That single act of sabotage removed a primary threat to millions of people and opened a gap in the national defense network. Arash was not alone. Dozens of other ground teams struck simultaneously, neutralizing radar systems and missile batteries across the country. Because the radars were offline, 200 Israeli aircraft entered Iranian airspace and struck their targets without being engaged by air defenses. Within hours, the regime's ability to coordinate a counteroffensive was paralyzed. High-ranking military commanders were targeted and killed in their homes. The opening hours of the conflict were dictated by the people who had lived in these cities for years, waiting for a signal. Arash was extracted to Israel before the ceasefire was signed. He is safe from the regime, but he cannot return home. He is now a citizen of the country his homeland considers its primary enemy. He has lost access to his neighborhood, his native language, and his family. In the following weeks, Iranian police arrested 21,000 people. This indiscriminate sweep shows a regime unable to identify which of its citizens are actually working against it. Authoritarian systems now face a threat they cannot easily monitor: a citizen staring at a contact page, deciding whether to click send.